Bringing you the voice and vision of custom culture and lifestyle, as seen through the eyes of this South Texas duo. Welcome to the Custom Couple.
My name's Billy D, and I'll kick your ass. I'll kick your ass so hard your nuts will get stuck to your throat. You'll walk around and wear 'em like a bow tie. Your mom will call you a dickhead 'cause you'll have your little nuts in your stupid-looking head. They'll hang on to your throat until they fall off all purple and blue. Your friends will tell you, "Hey boy, get back inside, you're scaring the kids." All right, well get on up back inside. I'll tell you another story in a minute.
Well, with that intro, you know who we got on the mic with us today. So, welcome to another episode of The Custom Couple. I'm Lane. I'm your host for this one because Sam is out in California for the weekend. So me and Todd took a road trip out to the Houston area. We are in Tomball, Texas, hanging out in a little hotel. So you might hear some folks in the next room over. So pay no mind to the man behind the curtain.
There is a party next door to us and a party across the hall from us, and they're kind of loud. And I was like, a little upset, but I'm all right with it now because they'll probably pass out before us.
Yeah, they're not down. And it sounds like they're partying harder than they should, so they're going to run out of steam quick.
They're going to wake up late and have to pay for another day.
We are professionals.
We're
still going to be up in time for that continental breakfast.
Hey, if we don't, I'm going to figure out a way to get it.
Yeah, we'll get it one way or the other. If we got to go back in that kitchen and cook it ourselves, we're getting it.
Well, we don't have to cook anything. Just add hot water to the eggs and you're going.
Some powdered eggs. Hell yeah. So welcome, everybody. Like I said, you are listening to The Custom Couple, but I'm running solo, and Todd's joining me on the mic tonight. So, folks, we absolutely dig all the feedback that we're getting on the social media and on all of our platforms that the podcast is going out to. We are getting overwhelmed with positive comments. We're getting 5.0 ratings on Apple. Folks are leaving messages. It's great. So keep it up. If you're not following us on all the social media, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Keep sharing what we're doing because it's growing. We have some big interviews coming up, and things are just like the train's going off the rails, and I love it. Fucking love it. So, Todd, you want to get us rolling on here as far as why the hell are we in Tomball, Texas?
Well, we had a member of our community fall from us, and there was a memorial here, and Matt and I decided it was a good idea to come and support, give some support from San Antonio here in the Houston area. And it was a good memorial, which actually, it turned into a car show.
Yeah,
obviously, and it was really cool.
Well, we talked about that. Like, it kind of just goes like, anytime you're gonna have somebody from the car community fall out, like that's kind of the understood way to show your respect and support and appreciation for their life.
Yeah.
And get a bunch of car dudes together and fucking talk shit all day, right?
Yeah, show up. Yeah. It was good.
No, it was good. It was a nice little turnout. His whole car club and everybody there was there. Super nice folks. They
Rivieras.
Yeah, so we were hanging out with the Rivieras car club here in the Houston area, and got to see some friends that I haven't seen in a bit, so that was good. So our buddy that passed, we're gonna dedicate this episode to. So John Ward
was
this one's for you, man.
Good man.
So, how did you meet John Ward?
I met John Ward a couple of 3 years ago, four years ago, and it was at the Ribs and Rod show in Temple, Texas, and the guy that throws that show made a deal. I mean, he's been doing it for years, I guess. First time I've ever been to the show, and I took first place rat rod. What? There was probably 800, 900 cars, lowriders, Jeeps, Bugs, VWs, I mean, and, just a full gamut of cars. And so live band, they had a whiskey tent. I forget the name of the whiskey, really good, but they were giving free samples out. And
dude, that just sounds like a terrible time.
It was, I had a couple of 3 and I was like, okay, gotta be good. Amy, but the thing with the Ribs and Rod show is it's a cook-off, and the brisket grand prize was $30,000.
No way. That's ridiculous.
I'm not even playing. 30 grand. And they had like 3 sets of judgings, and they had like 15 or 20 tables set up, the long tables, the fold out tables. Mm-hmm. And they had chairs, and they were like, okay, well, let's eat some brisket. And they go, okay, look, take small bites of each brisket and pass them around. And they're just numbered, so you don't know who they are. 30 grand is up. So they say, just take a small bite because you're going to taste 15 briskets. And by the end of it, you're going to be really full. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, for a little bite of each one. So, but they were like very serious about it. They said, no talking, no looking back and forth, just mark your mark. Don't look at other people's pages, all this stuff. And it was sort of like, okay, cool, whatever. And they were actually watching and making sure the rules were being followed. They were not playing around. And so after a while, one brisket would come by, another brisket would come by, and you're just taking little bites. And at the end, I was like, hey, is this the last brisket? And the guy's all, yeah. So I took a whole chunk of it, and boom, there you go. About 30 minutes after that tasting, I needed a nap. I was so full, I couldn't even stand it. I was done. I was like, oh, they weren't playing. So then I go out, and I'm like, okay, because I asked Amy, my girl, and I asked her, hey, you want to do the brisket tasting? She's like, no, I want to watch the bands, because she's super fangirl. And Sean Castillo was playing.
Love Sean, man.
Yeah. So she wanted to see Sean, and so she's, no, I'm gonna watch the bands. Okay. So we were in there for like an hour and a half, tasting brisket, going through the rules, the regulations, and don't do this and don't do that. And they would point at you and go, you can't talk to that guy. That's my boy right there. This is who I came with. Shut up. Yeah. Taste the brisket. So I go out there. Amy's sitting in the middle of a field by herself, sunburnt, listening to the music. I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, I'm doing great. I was like, are you okay? She's all, yeah. I go, are you drunk? She's all, yeah. Well, what happened? That tent over there, every time you go over there, they give you whiskey. I said, well, stop going over there. Holy cow. So anyways, long story short, so Amy's from Waco. I'm from San Antonio. We met a long time ago. That's a long story. But anyway, so she drove from Waco to Temple, which isn't very far. It's like 30 miles from Waco. Right. So I'd gotten there earlier with the I used to be a model citizen. I'm not anymore. But so I showed up there, and they asked me to help John with his, and the Ribs and Rods is Ronald McDonald's charity. They give everything to charity to Ronald McDonald. So the Rivieras had brought cases of water and all cleaning supplies and all the stuff to donate to the Ronald McDonald House. So they asked me, hey, can you help him with this stuff? I said, yeah, no problem. And so, hey, I'm Todd, John, nice to meet you, da, da, da.
And so I helped him with the stuff. And then later on, I was in the room, and Amy comes up, and she's all, hey, blah, blah. So we went to the show, and we get to the show, and she's all, hey, I need to talk to you. And I was all, what? And she said, do you know that guy over there? And I was like, oh, not really. I just met him. Why? What's up? She said, well, he got in the elevator with me when I was going up to the floor, and I was all, I'll kick his ass. And so, and I was like, yeah, what? And she said, well, I asked him, because he kind of looks like a car dude. And I asked him, hey, are you here for the car show? And he said, nah, I'm not here for the car show. And so she's like, oh, okay, because there's a car show that's happening and this and that, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, I'm not here for that. And there he is right there, talking to the people we know. And I said, well, I don't know. So she's like, I'm going to go talk to him. So she went over to him and said, hey, I thought you said you weren't coming to the car show. And he's like, well, and she said, you're a liar. In fact, you're the mayor of Liar Town. And he said, well, if I'm the mayor of Liar Town, then you're what's under the mayor?
I don't know. Normally a secretary.
Something like that. And so they went back and forth with that. And so it was just, but anyways, John was just a really genuine, nice guy with just every time he saw you, it was just, it was a genuine, like, he was so happy to see you and good vibes and just happy. He was just an awesome person. He was just really a cool guy.
He said, like, ever since that moment, like, she called him the mayor, right? Like, that was her nickname for him.
And counselor or whatever he called her. It was hilarious. They just carried it on, and so.
But he would come to San Antonio for a lot of the little car shows and events like that we had in San Antonio, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He was always one that was out and supporting and.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't able to bring a car, or he would bring his car, but he would, throw it on a trailer.
Yeah, and just bring it down. And looking at that car today, it was, man, driving that a long distance would be
sketchy,
a little challenging, but it's a 5-window coupe. Yeah,
they said a 31, right?
31, yeah. And it's as rough as, but that's what made it cool, It's cool because it's a coupe, but it's just the whole. It's just, you just have to see it.
Well, for some of the folks that have probably listened to this, and I've talked about it a little bit here and there, but whenever somebody mentions like rat rods, that's a certain type of car and fits into a certain type of category.
Right. Yeah.
What I lean towards more is like I'd love what they call jalopies, and that's like the more hot rodded, needs a paint job, but it's not completely ratty. Yeah. And I think his coupe fits into that category. It's a flathead driven. It's
flathead, yeah.
Oh,
more original. Not with a
Yeah.
It's more traditional.
Yeah, it's a real traditional build, more authentic kind of hot rod. And that I loved it. I saw his car up close today. I've seen it a couple of times in the past, but like, walking around it today and seeing it, like that's exactly what I want. There's a couple cars there. I was like, damn, I want that.
Yeah.
Those little roadsters that showed up that were one was a 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, and then the other one was
a high rider,
flathead. Yeah. Was it a T bucket? I think it was like a 27 T. Oh man, they're badass cars today.
And the cool thing is we're in Houston, not in San Antonio, so we saw cars that we don't usually see. Yeah. So that was really cool too.
Yeah. Jeff Light was out there from the Demons Car Club. He gave us some stickers. And
awesome.
It was cool to sit and talk with him for a little bit. And I always love seeing his coupe. I mean, that thing's cool as too. Cool just to see it out at some of the car shows, and he drives it a bunch. So
yeah,
there was a lot of folks that we got to see and hang out with. A lot of folks that we got to meet today.
Yeah,
people that we haven't met before, and just wanted to, people that just wanted to sit down and talk about, hot rodding and reminisce about, old stories and stuff. And overall, it was a really good day.
It was.
So
Considering the fact,
Yeah. It's tough when it's, certain situations that, that bring us together, and you're like,
Yeah.
You wish that you could get people to get together on better terms sometimes, but sometimes it takes things like this to bring more people together. And I think having an awareness of that, it's like maybe we should do more events that are a little bit more positive, and people start coming out. Now that COVID is kind of relaxing, I guess. I don't know. The regulations for it are relaxing.
Yeah, let's.
I think people are
tired of it.
Very tired of it, and I think they're getting cabin fever. So I think
cabin fever.
I think the events of this year are gonna blow up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's Roundup's gonna be stupid. And so
Roundup and the Invasion, both of those shows are coming up in the fall.
I haven't been to the Invasion.
We'll see. The story there is Invasion was always on Labor Day weekend.
Oh, okay.
And last year when COVID hit, Roundup got pushed to Labor Day weekend. So then it was gonna force people to make a choice. So do you go to Roundup or do you go to Invasion?
Yeah.
And then it got pushed again, and they didn't. No shows ended up happening.
Yeah.
So this year, they decided to keep Roundup on Labor Day weekend, and the Invasion got pushed a little further out. So I think it'll either be mid-October or into November, maybe. I'm not honestly sure if that's what's going to happen with it. But then also in that time span too, Pistons and Paint will happen, and that's another good show that a lot of people will be wanting to go to. I think all the events that are going to happen this year, when they actually do happen, they're going to blow up. People are, sick of being at home.
And it's hot rod season.
It is.
That's what it is.
And people have been sitting at home. Hopefully you've had time to work on your hot rod.
I hope you did. I didn't. I had plenty of time, but I was frustrated and pissed off at my truck, and I got it together as we were kind of, being.
We got it together. We got that transmission to finally stick itself in.
Yeah,
magically.
Magically.
Yeah, nobody came over and helped in getting that thing put together or not.
Yeah,
but tell us about Amy's car. Fucking it. Magically works now. You just had to throw some damn gas in it.
Well, yeah. And that's the crazy thing is it's a 62 Falcon. We bought it from an old guy, and he was restoring it himself. And for what he did to it and looking at it, it's like, okay, well, the doors need to be adjusted to for the gapping and stuff like that, and all the panels need to be kind of, not all of them, but the doors for sure. But he was doing it, and it's really, for what he was doing, it's pretty nice for what it is. And so we got it from him, and it's 3 on the tree, and the linkage from the steering column is to the transmission is wallered out. So from the steering column, the linkage, and then the linkage that where it goes into the transmission. So it's the arms on the steering column. It's that shift the gears. There's 2 of them. So those are wallered out, and then those 2 linkages go down to some other linkages down, and those are wallered out there. And then from there to the transmission, those are wallered out too. So you can get it in first, and you can get it in reverse if you can find them. And so we've driven it around the neighborhood a couple of times in first, just all waving, and people are like, oh yeah, they're waving at us because we have an old car in the neighborhood. And so we're just like, oh yeah, we're just having a little slow parade over here. So we've had our fun with it, but we finally got the old truck, my old truck running, and so we pulled the Falcon out, gave it a bath, and I put my Shepherd into the garage, and then pulled her Falcon into the shop. But I was trying to start it. I was like, okay, well, it's been sitting there for a year for COVID, and I just kind of like gave up on all of it. And so I was like, well, the gas is probably bad, and it's probably just not going to start. And Amy said, well, it just sounds like it's out of gas. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go to the gas station and get some fresh gas then. So I went and got the gas, and I put the gas in the gas tank, like maybe 3/4 of a gallon. And I pulled the choke out again, started it right up. I finally found reverse, backed it out of the garage, finally found first, and pulled it right into the shop. That was the best day I had in a long time. I was so excited. I backed it out and pulled it forward. It was awesome. So now it's in the shop. It's in the hole to work on. So
isn't that the best though? Like when you've had like some troubles with cars in the past, and you're having troubles with a car that you're working on currently, and then something just like as if somebody just said, you know what, he's having a bad day, let's give him a better day today. And it just like a light clicks on and fucking bam, like
I wish I had more of those days. Man.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
it's like bam, this worked today.
We're gonna give you a free pass on this one.
Yeah, today's a good day. Tomorrow might not be so good, but today, yeah.
Tomorrow you're gonna be late for work, but you had a good day today.
But you know, we need to do more of these road trips, man. Especially with car season, the way it's coming up.
Yeah.
I know. Sam will be with us on more of these trips. It just happened that she was in California this weekend. She had a blast. She had her photo shoot. She went to a car show. She called me every step of the way, you know, giving me all the updates on how things are going out there. She did her deal in the pinup contest, and you know, she got to meet some people and have a good time. But of course, she'll be with us on more of these car trips that we're going to take, and the shows that we go to normally. But, you know, we need to be hitting the road, and we need to be giving people updates from the road of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think you got one cooking on the back burner that we might end up on. You know.
That'd be awesome. That's a good trip.
So we might end up in New Orleans, folks.
Man, and I went 2 years ago. My friend Ben Devoy, he did a show there at Royal Brewery, and that it's a small little brewery, and that, I mean, the whole trip was just, it was eye-opening. And I told Matt earlier that I went to New Orleans a time before, but got there after dark for the Jazz Fest years and years ago, and met up with some people I didn't know, and that all fell to craziness real quick after Bourbon Street.
That never happens.
Well, sometimes it happens to me. But I can't
like you're
help
the
it.
only one.
Yeah, no, well, crazy things happen, and I'm like, the people are like, what again? I'm like, I don't know how it happened, but so anyways, so I hadn't really seen New Orleans really, and so when I went for that show 2 years ago, and then COVID blocked the second show, but anyways, it was just a cool show, cool little uprising show that had 20 cars for the advertising that he did, you know, and it was really, really cool. And he was excited about it. We were all excited about it. We, our friend Mike, drove up Mike and I drove up from San Antonio, or drove across to New Orleans to do that show. But it was really really a good show, and man, my mind was blown when I got back to San Antonio. It was just awesome. So so Ben invited me back last year, and then he said, "You coming back?" I'm like, "Man, I want to, but we gotta figure out, you know." But
we got to tell them to fix potholes before we get there, though.
Holy cow, these potholes are the size of your car. You could put a Kia in that, and they're not just one or two; they're all over. It's nuts. They have those big pylon things with safety tape around the potholes, and then some of the potholes have smashed those big round, like 55-gallon pylons.
Yeah.
Those big ones. Some of the potholes, most of them have smashed pylons, like someone drove right over it into the pothole, crushed that thing in the pothole, and then somehow got their car out. And those things are smashed in there.
Oh my
It's
God.
crazy.
Yeah, no, New Orleans, we will be coming, and we're gonna expect some potholes to be fixed before we get there because we got some low vehicles.
You better have some concrete ready.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. It's like New Orleans is already like negative sea level.
Yeah.
So
So the city's like, you try to fix them.
Yeah.
We've been trying for years.
so we don't even bury our bodies below ground.
Exactly.
You expect us to get the streets right? I don't think so.
I don't think so. We
don't
have
know,
other
man.
things to do.
I don't know. It is what it is, man. I think it would be a great trip. I've never been, so I'd be looking forward to something like that. I'd be looking forward to, getting out of Texas.
Yeah, and it's a 12-hour drive.
Yeah. I've driven to Florida. I've driven to the shitty part of Florida where you drive into Florida and then you drive the same amount of time south.
Welcome. Keep on going.
Yeah. So you still got another day to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've done that, but it's been a long time since I've taken a trip like that, and I think going and seeing some car culture and some other places would be a good experience for both me and Sam.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I mean, the people that I met in New Orleans in the car culture, were, they say people in Texas are friendly. They were just as friendly and super cool, just laid back and just open arms, just awesome people, really cool people.
The other part to it, and I don't know if everybody has this kind of thing about them or if it's just something that we do, but it seems like every time I invite somebody to go somewhere or do something, food is involved.
Oh, man.
Right? Like, whenever you have somebody come from out of town, don't you always want to take them to like your favorite restaurant?
Heck yeah. Tia's.
Oh yeah, shout
some
out.
Pozole. I need
Right.
some pozole.
But it's like anytime that anybody comes to San Antonio, me and Sam always want to take them to like some of the smaller hole in the wall Mexican restaurants or Chris Madrid's. Go get a good hamburger at Chris Madrid's.
Yeah.
It's
with
like
cheddar cheese
so
flowing
anytime
off of it.
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. If you go to San Antonio and go to Chris Madrid's, oh man, you're gonna love that burger. And if you don't, call me.
Call me. I'll help you finish it. It's a big burger.
But so like anytime I think about going on road trips, like I always want to taste the food of like that local area, and of course New Orleans. You're gonna eat some some Cajun food.
Something.
You're gonna eat some mud bugs or something. So like that's got me like all excited.
Yeah.
So here in Houston tonight, after Todd and I came and we crashed out for a little bit. Like
we woke up at 5 a.m. to drive over here.
Yeah. So we had a day. We crashed out in the hotel room for a little bit, and then we woke up. It was like, it's probably about time for some dinner. And we ended up at some like kind of sports bar and grill kind of spot that, was kind of family fun-ish.
Family funish until they said,
no kids after 9.
Oh, yeah.
Get your kids out of here. We will be checking IDs.
Then they checked my ID and we got kicked out.
Yeah, I was like, dude, Matt, come on, show him the right ID. I'm trying to drink beer over here.
But no, this place, and walking into the place, like we were kind of like smelling all the smells of like good food being cooked, and sure enough, we got to eat mud bugs today.
Yeah.
Oh,
we got out of the truck and I was all, you smell that? And Matt's all, what do you smell? I was like, I think I smell fried pickles. And he's all, no, those are mud bugs. And I was all, you think? He's all, they got mud bugs in there. We got to get them. And we walked in and we sat at the bar, and there was a lady like catty corner. We were sat on the L-shaped bar, and there was a lady catty corner from us with a big old plate of dead mud bugs that she'd eaten. And I was like, holy cow.
So I called it, folks. His nose is still good for something.
Yeah, he did. He called it correct.
But oh man, what was the name of this place? I'll look.
District 42.
District 249 Bar and Grill.
249. Dyslexia is a bitch, folks.
So it's in Tomball, Texas. The lady at the hotel recommended it, and we get over there and we see that there's mud bugs, and we're like, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And
yeah.
They were like, okay, well, you buy it by the pound. So we each ate 3 pounds.
Yeah,
and
perfect amount.
It was absolutely a perfect amount. Both of us were well fed after that and content.
Yeah.
But so we walk over. After we order our food, they tell us, "Oh, well, you walk over to this other part of the bar, and they'll fix it up for you."
It was probably like a 3 or 4 acre plot of where this place is, and it's kind of further in the back, and it's kind of like they have volleyball, they have
where you throw the bean bags. What do they call that?
Cornhole,
yeah,
cornhole, and they have tournaments and whatever, all that stuff. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. So we get over to the where they're cooking these mud bugs. And those spices were hitting us. I mean,
we were like standing right at the window, and all of a sudden,
breathe.
I was like, my throat started getting tight. I was like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, I started kind of coughing. I was like, "Oh, the spices are just coming out." And these 2 dudes are working that station, and they just dumped a huge, like, what do you think that bucket was? It was probably like 3.5 foot round, huge aluminum.
Yeah, where they're cooking the bugs in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, they got these spices rolling. Neither of us can breathe.
Yeah.
And these 2 guys are just working in the middle of it.
They're pushing these bugs out. And I looked at the kid and I was like, "Hey man," he looked at me, yeah. And I was like, "How long did it take you to like not be affected by the spices?" He's all, 3 months. I was like, "Are you kidding me, dude?" He's all, "Yeah." And I was like, "Man, they're just in there doing it."
Yeah, he's working right in this enclosed little room, just throwing spices on these crawfish. If y'all that don't know what mud bugs are, it's crawfish. Bugs. Yeah. And in season, you definitely need to come down to the south and find you some, because outside of season, they're too small.
Yeah.
It's almost not worth the peeling. So you peel it kind of similar to shrimp.
Kinda. Yeah. There's a little pinching at the end.
Yeah. And, it's just something that we love down here. And, April, May time frame is when they're the best, as far as size goes. Cause you want to, you go through that work, you want to have the meat and the end of it,
Yeah.
But, so, and they did something that neither of us had seen before. So they threw, after these things are cooked, this guy was throwing them into like a sauce bowl.
Yeah.
And throwing garlic and butter on them. That was a different experience, but it was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, he looked at us and said, "You want butter and garlic on yours?" I was all, "Yeah."
Yeah, we're totally doing that.
Full on, like, fresh minced garlic that you could tell that was part of their prep of the day, is mince the garlic. And he put a spoonful of butter on top of them, and then a handful of garlic on that, and then he said, "How spicy do you want it?" And I was like, "Look, man, I just wanted a little spice." And he took what I thought was a big scoop, but I mean, he's been doing it, for as long as he has, and douche, and then stirred it up, and that was awesome. My breath is so garlicky right now.
Yeah, we apologize out there in podcast land.
We know you can smell it.
You can smell it, and we know. But man, I think more of these road trips are gonna definitely be a necessity for this year, especially with the way this podcast is rolling.
Yeah, and
Dude.
just like you told me before, this is the voice of hot rodding, and without this podcast, you don't hear the voices of people's stories about their hot rods and their experiences and stuff like that. And it would be beneficial to you to go out and talk to people in other lands about their hot rods. And
Oh, absolutely. And until we're able to do that more, we've definitely started exploring the realms of being able to have more phone interviews and Zoom calls and things of that nature, just so we can get the voices of folks out there that we're not able to sit down face to face with yet.
Yeah.
But what's kind of cool, as I still work a day job, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And in my downtime of that job, and then evenings when I'm at home and weekends when I'm at home, I do a lot of promoting. I do a lot of reaching out to people to see if they want to be on the podcast. I do a lot of things that are, behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see.
And it becomes another full-time job.
Oh, absolutely. And part of that, that planning process, and that, and when I find somebody that I do want to talk to, and it's like, well, we can either do a phone call, which is easy enough to do, or we can schedule like further out and schedule actual like road trips and go meet people face to face. So like at the end of May, we'll be taking a road trip to Dallas, and we'll be up there recording a few episodes while we're there. So long story short, in doing all of this promotion and all this reaching out and finding people that we want on the cast, I made a realization that, I don't have to constantly do everything to everybody else's benefit, because it's just in my nature that if I ask you to do something, I'm going to do everything, and you're just going to, be a part of it.
Right.
It's like if I ask you to be on the show, I'm not expecting you to do anything other than be on the show.
Yeah.
So we started reaching out to people, and I've Ben Brooks, shout out to Ben Brooks. He's got Brooks Brand Clothing. He's going to be on the podcast with us. I reached out to him, and he was like, yeah, like right away. He was like, yeah, I'll be on your show. And I was like, cool. You're only 3 hours away.
Yeah.
At some point, me and Sam will have a weekend that we can come and we'll come to you and we'll sit and talk. And he was like, no, I'll come to San Antonio.
Oh.
And I was like, oh,
That's awesome.
all right. Like,
He's all, I need some enchiladas, man.
and I never really grasped that part of it, but like there are folks out there that they want to come to us.
Yeah.
And, like Ben was telling me, he goes, now I live in a small town here. Me and the wife need to get out. So we want to come to San Antonio and do the tourist thing and come and see something else and get out of our small town and all that. And I never thought of that. Like, I always think of where do I need to go
Yeah.
and talk to people. And like, there's that part of it too. Like people want to come to San Antonio and talk to us.
The funny thing is, and we talked about this today, was, you know, the Riverwalk and the Alamo historical. I really do love going to the river to the Alamo, but the Riverwalk, I don't care about the Riverwalk. I don't care about downtown. Mm-hmm. We talked about that earlier, and it's like, yeah, we don't go to downtown. We stay in our little communities that we live in, and we do our thing. And I never think about going down there and doing the hustle, but find parking and go see the trash river. It's not a trash Riverwalk. Go see the Riverwalk. You'll enjoy it. But
well, the thing about the Riverwalk, and if the city of San Antonio ever wants to sponsor my podcast, absolutely definitely do so. Go to it. The thing about it, for folks like us that live in San Antonio, of course you're not going to go do the tourist thing and go to the Riverwalk, but there's nothing really authentic about it. And if you think that there is, call into the show. I'll give you the phone number. If you think that there's nothing really authentic about the Riverwalk. It was
built after all of the history had been done, and
and everything there is chain restaurants, chain mall stores. There's nothing there that's San Antonio. That you're going to get anything from it.
Oh wait, there is San Antonio stuff, but you have to buy it because it's tourist
keychains and t-shirts and I mean, one of the cool things that you can do as far as the Riverwalk is concerned is to go sit on one of the barges
and get a little history.
Because they
cool.
do
that is cool.
And those people are knowledgeable. I mean,
and they're driving those boats like champs, man.
So they have these barges that you go and you sit on it, and it's like the double-decker buses in England or whatever. It's kind of like that kind of deal where you go sit on it, and then somebody on that's driving the boat is also giving you history of like buildings and stuff that are in the downtown area. So that's kind of cool as far as the Riverwalk is concerned. But I just from living in San Antonio, I just don't see the moth to the flame kind of attraction to it. There's cooler things outside of downtown that we're all involved with. There's things that, there's little hole in the wall restaurants that we could take you to. There's little dive bars and
lots of awesome dive bars.
I mean, yeah, for real. And then there's I
know where they all are.
Worked in a couple of them.
But, got kicked out of a bunch of them.
And then like there's all like the little suburb towns that are like swallowed up by San Antonio that have like cool like historical buildings and stuff like that.
For sure,
And I from living in San Antonio, I never grasped the aspect of what the attraction to it was. But then you see like we start wanting to like promote the podcast, and people are like, no, we'll come to San Antonio, and I'm like, really? Like, because I'm asking you to be on it. I'm not asking you to drive 3 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is. I'm expecting that I'm going to drive to you. And then they're like, no, we'll come to you, and and we'll you don't have to do that. We'll just be on your show. And I'm like, man, like this thing is growing. It's absolutely growing. So I'm digging the direction that it's going in. I think as far as custom culture goes, like our podcast is the voice of the culture that we're about, and we're trying to have more and more people on that that we can get a wide range of what that culture is, whether it be artists, car builders, car owners and enthusiasts in general. Pinup models. We're actually even going to be doing some Zoom interviews with people from across the ocean.
Cool.
I mean, there's just so many things like that fall into this realm of what we call custom culture. And it's so like, it's such a generic term.
Yeah,
and it covers so many different things. So like, you know, we're gonna have musicians on the show. We're gonna have other people that do podcasts on the show.
Cool.
I mean, it's just, there's so many things that are just happening for us right now, and it's wild. But more of these road trips are definitely gonna be happening.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get more phone calls while we're on the podcast here. Yeah, that's how it happens. Anytime I'm not anywhere near Sam, my phone's going off because Sam's giving me the updates of where she's at and all the cool shit that she's getting to see right now.
Yeah, she's been sending pictures of cars.
Oh yeah, cars, and then the hotel that they were staying at and doing the photo shoot at and everything. So yeah, it's all been really awesome lately. And like I said in the beginning of the podcast, if you know, folks that are jumping on here and listening to the podcast, I love all of the feedback that we're getting. And I love the fact that people are, you know, telling me about certain aspects of the show and things that they heard on the show, and people that have been on, and stories that they heard. And even when we had Chad on one of our episodes, and he was like, well, I listened to this other episode, and your guy was talking about whistling on there. Exactly.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode. He was when he was talking about the candy run.
Oh yeah, he was talking about hanging out with Gambino.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So that's another thing. Like I've been finding ways to reach out to people that that I want to have on the show. I think Gambino eventually will be on the show. I'm gonna try my hardest to make that happen. Just because I've never talked to him. I've never had any like interaction with him, so I would love to like just meet him, even if it is a phone interview. I'd love to meet the guy and just talk, you know, culture with him, how he's doing it out there.
Yeah.
Chad talked about how he had Voodoo Larry coming to his shop and doing work with him. So at some point, I want to get Voodoo Larry on the mic with us. And
I think I got a Speedway magazine last week, and I think one of Voodoo Larry's I don't know if it was his car, but he the way he puts he does the lead, and the two radio antennas come out of the front fender.
Oh yeah.
I think that was Voodoo Larry.
It might have been.
Yeah,
it might have been. We'll have to go back and look and verify that. But
yeah, I'm not sure, but I saw. I was like, man,
he's just done some wild builds.
Yeah.
Some really awesome cars that he's put out. So I'd love to get him on the mic and just, you know, talk to him. Like, awesome. Where do you get some of these ideas from? Like, of course, some of them are like throwbacks to like, you know, tributes to other people's builds that he'd put his own twist on. The Voodoo Sahara thing is freaking rad.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, and these are all things that I've followed him for years, like watching and seeing, you know, things that he's put out and things that have gone to car shows with his name on it. And, you know, he's gone to car shows and chopped cars at the show.
Really?
I mean, it'd just be really wild to have him on. And from watching all the videos of him and Chad working together, he seems like such a chill, like laid back dude. Yeah. And I'd love to have him on a mic. So we'll see. I mean,
that'd be awesome.
I think it can very easily become something, you know, that we put out an episode for.
Yeah.
But oh man, tomorrow we drive back to San Antonio.
Well, I'll put the cruise control on and we'll just cruise on down.
I mean, I-10 is fairly straight.
Fairly straight, it is.
So, I mean, we could there's probably a good hour that you could probably just fucking put your knee to the steering wheel and take a nap.
Yeah.
I bet it's that straight.
Go to sleep.
But You know, we'll definitely be doing a bunch of these episodes from different places and different places in America. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
And different places in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe in the world, because this culture isn't just America; it's worldwide.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's I've mentioned it several times in both our live casts and on here. Australia is one of the places that I would love to end up going and seeing for my own self, the culture that they've got. Sam orders things all the time that are coming from Australia. Some of her clothing, her earrings. So shout out to Deluxe Creations. There's a lot of things that she's getting, that have to do with like her pinup stuff and everything that's coming from Australia. Yeah. And so it's like they must have like a thriving culture going on out there. I know there's been a couple of car shows there.
Yeah.
I know some of the car clubs have chapters there that, so there must be something going on there that's worthwhile and
growing. But
yeah.
We call them the Australians because Pedro, I'm sure that's not his real name, but but I've met him a couple times, and he comes to Roundup every year, and I started talking to those guys, and they were saying that their regulations for modifying cars are totally different than America. And here I have this 46 Chevy Shepherd truck, and I'm stomping on the gas at night, and it's popping flames out of the pipes, and they're like, dude, that's crazy. Like, well, that's just, this is what it is, it's what, we can't do that. We can't have any flames coming out of our pipes. everything has to be,
wow.
So totally everything has to be quiet and no flames over there.
Well, I mean, they did just go through that whole thing with the fires. They're probably scared.
Well, yeah.
Australia was on fire for a little while.
Yeah, you're right.
But no, I'm sure that's not why. I'm sure. No. I'm sure they just got environmental issues. People, they don't want the ozone layer to be ripped up anymore. And here, we just kind of do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably regulations like that here.
Yeah, and certain.
I mean, like if you think about it, like if somebody really wanted to open a book and be like, your header shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I mean, think about it. Think about it this way: if we actually had to abide by, some of the environmental regulations to get your car inspected, a lot of our cars would not pass.
My go-kart would not pass.
But we there's loopholes, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably something similar, and they just don't have as many loopholes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's just one way to think about it. I don't live there, so I don't know what they deal with. I don't know if they've got police at their door, hey, quit letting flames come out your headers. I don't know if they've got that there.
They were just like, there's fire. I'm like, yeah, dude, fire.
Dude, I've got some friends up in the Midwest area that fucking hook up propane tanks to their exhaust, and they shoot flames like 20 feet in the air. My buddy was telling me a story. Oh man, he was telling me a story one time that he was doing I think it was a whiskey run or something like that, where they were doing a cruise to a bunch of different distilleries, and they'd stop off at each one on the route, right? And part of the cruise, they had to go through tunnels. And he was Jeremy Kisting. If I'm messing up the story, I'm sorry, man. But this is what I remember from the drunken nights that I was in St. Louis. So they were going through tunnels, and him and another guy were hitting the flames on their car, you know, and busting out flames while they're driving through. And somebody like at one of the stops like came up to him and was like, "Hey, you know, it's cool, but there's fire systems inside those tunnels that you know you might set them off. It
might be raining in the tunnels. I don't have any windshield wipers, man."
Can you imagine that?
Man, that was
You're just
crazy.
rolling through a tunnel and the fire suppressant system shoots off and
Flashing lights everywhere. Whoa.
I mean, it'd be wild. It'd make for good stories on the podcast.
Heck yeah. And one time,
Oh man. But yeah. Fucking we do some wild shit to cars sometimes.
no.
I just want mine to run.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it right now. I'll do crazy shit later, but right now I just need it to run. So we can do more of these road trips and yeah, we don't have to sit in the 46 together just silent for 4 hours and
Yeah.
headphones on and just that's all you're hearing the whole time.
The whole time. It is violent.
Oh man. So I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
You know, we'll call that good. I think our listeners have listened to us drone on long enough.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely well needed that we needed to do this trip. I'm
Yeah,
glad that
for
we
sure.
did.
Yeah.
I know it was kind of a little bit last minute of what decisions we were going to make about doing it, but both of us were like, no, it's necessary.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely glad that we made the trip out here. And John Ward, this one's for you, man.
Yep. Good man, John Ward.
And all things custom, keep it cool. See you next Tuesday.